Governor Francis Nwifuru has imposed a strict curfew on Amasiri community in Ebonyi State following a deadly boundary clash that claimed at least 4 lives. The measures follow a violent attack last week in Okporojo village, Oso Edda, where gunmen invaded the community, killed residents, burnt houses, and abducted others. The crisis is believed to be linked to a long-standing land dispute between Amasiri and Oso Edda communities. Well, the curfew runs daily from 2 p.m. to 10 a.m., while all private and public schools in Amasiri have been shut. Teachers and students have been directed to continue academic activities in neighboring communities.
Angered by the killings, Governor Nwifuru dissolved the Amasiri Development Union, removed village heads, and withdrew recognition from the community's traditional ruler. He also handed over the administration of Amasiri to nearby local councils. The police say security has been strengthened in the area as investigations continue, but for now, residents remain under curfew as the state government struggles to restore peace. Joining us to analyze this development is the CEO, Lead Network Africa, Chukwuma Okenwa. Good morning, Mr. Okenwa. Thank you very much for joining us.
You're welcome.
All right. Mr. Okenwa, people are dying over land in 2026. How did this problem get this bad? Is this a historical problem? Is this something that has always happened? Or is it a reflection of deeper issues that we're not yet experiencing as a society?
Well, it's more historical than contemporary. Some communities in Ebonyi State has been noted to have a long history of intra-community and inter-community clashes, often resulting to the loss of lives. And I mean, the very fact that it has continued even up till now, it's a bit worrisome because one thing again that has been a pattern is the barbaric approach towards the ending of lives in that particular, in some of those communities. You know, it's not something maybe like in many cases involve maybe the use of firearms, you know, but where someone's head could just be chopped off, it's very typical of, you know, the kind of stories that emerge from some of those communities. And it's really worrisome that, you know, that is even happening, you know, currently. It's a deep concern.
Now, some measures have been taken by the state government to try and restore normalcy in the area. There have been an imposition of a curfew, and also some community associations have been dissolved. And also the traditional ruler has been delegitimized. How much of a difference will this make? And the curfew is quite a long one, from 2 p.m. up till 6 a.m. The next day, which basically grounds business activities and all of that. Is this a stopgap measure? What will it take to deal with this situation once and for all?
Well, let me mention that over time when we see political leaders want to restore peace and order, the two things that often comes to their mind is, you know, use of executive orders, and at best, even when maybe like what we call a peace dialogue sections is convened by political leaders, it's often like issuing instructions. Political leaders rarely give room for robust conversation that underpin the very challenges, you know. What is really the problem? I mean, how many leaders would be that patient enough to really get to hear more than speaking more, than, you know, prescribing what do you think should work? And I think that is a very common mistake we see with leaders. And now the approach we see from the governor is more of reactionary. And I can tell you, it seemingly oversimplifies the matter, like a kind of an issue that you are going to just handle, you know, by, you know, imposing a curfew, maybe heighten investigation, get a few culprits, and then at the end of the day, maybe perhaps recover the heads. And what happens next? Would I have been able to like address like some of those historical challenges? So whilst we are going to commend the governor maybe for taking such actions because, for some of those leaders, the simple truth is that as the community level, they all know who is who. There is no way you can have such perpetrators who in many cases believe they are fighting for the interest of certain clans within a community. That's usually the nature of such clashes. So there's no way they can do that without the backing of even, it could be like commissioners, it could be like traditional rulers supporting one faction. All of those kind of things are very common. But beyond that, why I think, that may have persisted beyond maybe some other measures the governor have taken is inability for some of those approaches to really get to the roots, hear the subject of the matter, address it foundationally from the roots, right? And not just on the up.
Okay. If you look at it carefully, this issue, like you said, has been long-standing. It didn't just start today. And the governor has taken this bold step. Like you rightly said, it's commendable. But what must be done to curb this entire incident of happening again? Because along with putting the curfew, the governor also said that everyone should remain at peace. Is it possible for the community to remain at peace, knowing that 4 persons were killed and beheaded with their heads taken away?
Well, with the curfew and heavy security presence, it can enjoy, the Amasiri community can enjoy like a temporal peace, but I can tell you to really give an insight of how some of these things are like. I have a colleague of mine that served in Ebonyi State, where maybe in some of the communities during break, you see children like the normal break time, play time, for some of those communities is like someone may be trying to play with how you can use knife to chop up somebody's head, regrettably, right? So when you even have like children in community growing up with this ingrained hatred, right? Then if you actually want to bring like a kind of solution, then you have to go to the depth of the matter. It's just like the average North Korean to the way they perceive a U.S. citizen. From childhood, you are trained to hate America, to hate U.S. citizens. And it's also like as a child growing up in the Amasiri community, the narrative is that this clan, they are enemies, they are entire enemies, they killed our fathers, our forefathers, we can't give up. It is something we have to continue. There is nothing as strong as ideology, right? When a historical challenge is founded upon an ideological underpinning, then addressing such issue is not something that will be as simple as, an executive order. It tends to oversimplifies the matter. So if the governor truly wants to bring a solution to this particular matter, yes, the aspect of kinetics is very important, the use of force to restore order, at least temporarily. But beyond that, there has to be that stakeholder engagement. There has to even be engaging, peace advocates, engaging, people who are renowned for engaging communities when it comes to such level of dialogue. It could be from the academics, from some peace platforms, we have the National Peace and Conflict Resolution Commission, right? And of course, the man that is heading it up, it is someone that has distinguished himself across the globe, contributing to when it comes to peace literature across the globe, right? So I think when such people are engaged to really look at the matter, get into the deep of the depth of the issue, then the government can be able to even understand what the challenge is and what should be the right fix to fix this. Because when I see some things like, okay, I want to delist Amasiri from being a development center, it's almost like giving them even a more reason to continue with that, because I am aware that why Amasiri was at first even recognized as a development center is to perhaps make them come up and, there won't be any narrative of, well, we can't even listen to the government, we are neglected, right? By our standard, it should not entirely be by size, right? It's not all that big, maybe as others to be an independent development center. But, governor now wanting to match them out is almost like going back to something you've heard, is going to be a right step in the right direction. Retracing back the step it's not going to make any difference in the long term. You know, that's going to like a kind of bring some kind of cheers and applause for the governor in the immediate. But when you look at the long term, that what you're addressing is something historical, right? It has happened for generations. And you don't just expect that you are going to address that with an executive order, except you are God, right? But if you are not, then really look at the issue and address it for what it is.
Okay, so we have one of our reporters who's on ground who would have loved to ask more questions concerning this. But we'll just ask you to just pause and stay with us. I don't know about Oliver. I have one more question because you're saying it's going to take a lot more. The question would be, what can be done now? But just hold on to your response. Let's move now to another state, which happens to be Anambra, where I'm sure our viewers and all Nigerians have been following the entire drama between the governor and the people of Anambra, especially the market. Chinwe joins us this morning. Good morning to you, Chinwe. And can you tell us where you are and what the situation currently is like? Today is deadline, Monday, and marketers, shops, everyone is told to open. If not, the governor says he will completely shut down the market.
Good morning. I am in Ebonyi, the Abia State capital. I was called by dealers from Anambra State. I understand that yesterday the state government issued a statement opening markets, the Anambra market was shut down by the governor a week ago. So expectedly by today, that market will be functional. Already the people in Eka are going up their businesses just as it's here in Abia State. There are no sign of peace at home where students are going to school. They've all gone through, and traders in their shops, their shops. So currently at the gate market here in Omaria, and people no sign of peace here in Abia State.
We're struggling with your audio.
Yeah, we're trying to see how we can hear you clearly.
We're hoping that we can hear you clearly. But the question I'd like to ask is, how are the citizens taking the order, the instruction from the governor for them to return to the markets? Because you know that he has said if they do not return to the market, for example, in Anambra State, I don't know if you have reports of what's happening there and what the reality. I can see, I mean, from your background, I can see that it feels like it's business as usual in Abia State.
The phones in Anambra, which say that they are glad to go back to their shops. They also express concern that the term has to be assured, otherwise that they don't have any other choice other than to close shop again. So hopefully the government will also do something about that. But people down here are not perturbed at all because to them, there's no platform anymore. So they'd rather go about their daily duties than just sit back if someone said they shouldn't count.
Okay. All right. But is there any indication that the people in Abia State are also leaning towards what the government has said, especially the governor in Anambra State? What's their take? And what are the people saying on the streets as well?
Well, I didn't get that clearly.
I'm saying, what's the response like, especially for the people of Abia State in regards to what is happening in Anambra?
Oh, well, sometimes they are also well to ask people here. So that's feel they were reacting to the government all the time on this market. And it was extreme, policy. But then they are hoping that the people of Anambra will also take their own destiny in their own hands and make sure that they don't just give in to non-actors, that they need to do better, ensuring that their shops are opened every day, as the governor had indicated. But then they are also asking the state government to provide security, because if the people come out their shops on the market and there's no security for them, and then these non-state actors or criminals who are under the non-actors attack them, who pays for the loss that we might fulfill?
All right, Chinwe, thanks so much for talking to us. And we look forward to circle back with you, possibly in our news bulletin by 12. Thanks for your time. Let's go back to our guest who's still on the line. Let's join Chukwuma Okenwa for that final question, or maybe Olive and Bing. I do have a question. By the way, I think I'm going to shelve my final question and refocus it this time to Anambra State. What's your take on what's happening there? I mean, I know you're very connected with what's happening in the Southeast. It's been your home and you followed thoroughly, especially politically and otherwise. And this issue is rearing its ugly head again. Today is Monday. What's your take on it?
Does it also
I think the approach for Chuma Soludo, it's not properly guided because, like it's noted before now, the sit at home was ending, following a natural pace, like ending naturally, and all of a sudden with this executive order, it was a way of like, reigniting such agitations, and we've also begun to see some of the rumors in time past resurfacing again. And I tell you the simple truth, like the rumor that followed the meeting of Mazi and the Kano's lawyer with Mazi himself, the rumor, like in Enugu, I can tell you that the vehicular traffic and it's not as before, right? I mean, Enugu has long before now conquered this issue of sit at home, But the region is integrated. So when something is happening in one part, it could have a way of like reigniting some stuff in the other part. So Mr. Soludo would have consulted properly, if he ever truly wants to arrest the situation. There's a way like Enugu went about it. Enugu tried to use force before and find out it's not going to work, and then try to use engagement. There were a series of town halls engaging with stakeholders. I had the opportunity of being in all of them. So just, gathering few persons, top civil servants in education, and even mandating, or if you don't go to market, we do this, we do that. That's not a part of governance, right? I mean, when you were begging for their vote, you were literally begging, vote me, I'm going to do this. Now they have made you the governor. You don't have to like turn as the owner of the state. That's not the way democracy works.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Okenwa.
Right.
You're welcome.
We'll be wrapping up the conversation shortly, and I think my final question would be, what the expectations would be. You said that this is not how democracy works. Part of the argument we've had is the chairman of the market in Onitsha main market having said that they're in support of what the governor is doing. They said that they're in support because they're losing a lot of money. Now imagine, according to the governor, losing 8 billion naira every day. But now he's willing to shut it down for 1 week, 1 month, as long as it takes, even bringing it down to ensure that they use it for a security facility or make it into a school and pay those who had properties or who had stalls there. For citizens, how do you think that the citizens who are directly involved should handle this? Because this is the chairman of the market saying that they're very much in support of what the governor is doing.
Well, as reasonably expected, when a governor wants to do damage control, what you do is to reach out to like fellow politicians, who could be there under the guise of representing or leading an interest group or pressure group like a market union, and begin to issue statements that do not have the backing of the generality of their constituents. Because, I mean, these guys already know before now that they are losing money. You don't need to educate them. I mean, they don't need that economics 101 to know that if you don't go to market, you are not selling, you are not making money. But they are doing that out of their own volition. I mean, democracy would mean I should have that choice if I'm self-employed to decide when to go to market and when not to go to market. And yes, we know something led to that. But now, if government wants to address that, use dialogue rather than force, right? And then I want to also insist the comment from the chairman does not in any way, by the time you engage those marketers who by their attitude, right, by shutting down their markets, reviews, right, both in terms of statistics, both in terms of the number, and both in terms of what they endorse and what they believe, then clearly you know that the chairman, probably speaking, is just to curry favor with the governor, or maybe because, for whatever reasons, he just feels he wants to be politically correct.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Chukwuma Okenwa, for sharing your thoughts on the current issues, especially that of Ebonyi State and also that of Anambra State. We appreciate your time. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.